Hey, sixth grade, how's it going? Today we are going to learn all about the ED at the end of past tense verbs. We're also going to go into depth with a couple of dialogues, and we're going to play a game on the Surfer disc that you have inside of your book. So, welcome to class. What I'd like to do first is just show you on page 36 inside of your SuperMinds book that we're going to be learning about some of the vocabulary, just reviewing some of the vocabulary. So if you go to page 36, we're going to just listen to the dialogue on that page. It's actually a song. So go ahead and listen to that, and we're going to mark the different vocabulary words that you hear, okay? So on that page, we're just going to be listening to the song and then marking that vocabulary. So go ahead and listen.
Student's Book, page 36. 1. Listen and check the words that you hear.
On vacation in old Cairo, my friend and I went in a store where tourists never go, which sold a few old things.
We found an ancient mummy there. I looked into its eyes. I nearly fell back in a chair. The mummy was alive!
The mummy didn't want to play. He was not a happy man. We left the store and ran away, and ran and ran and ran.
We stopped and talked to Pharaoh and asked him what to do. He smiled and told us where to go. Hurry up, he's coming after you!
We ran into a pyramid with lots and lots of rooms. We found a dark place where we hid behind an ancient tomb.
The mummy came into the room inside the pyramid. He got into his ancient tomb.
And we slammed down the lid. Yeah!
Oh, wow, I cannot imagine being chased by a mummy, especially if it's wrapped up in all of those interesting garb, that they used to wear. And talking to the mummy, I mean, that must have been a very interesting experience. So what we're supposed to do is mark the words that we heard, right? The vocabulary that we heard. Here on the bottom, here are the vocabulary words that you can choose from. Let's see, was the word Pharaoh mentioned? Well, if you look closely on the third paragraph, right, on the second column, it says we stopped and talked to Pharaoh. Yep, so that one was mentioned. All right, the second one, tomb. Remember, a tomb is where someone is buried. Way at the end, it says he got inside his ancient tomb and we slammed down the lid. So, yep, that definitely was mentioned. Mummy. Well, this whole thing talks about a mummy, right? So obviously, for example, this one right here, it says, we found an ancient mummy there. I looked into its eyes. I nearly fell back in a chair. The mummy was alive. Yep, that was mentioned. Word mummy. Sphinx. I don't remember if the word Sphinx was mentioned. I don't see it inside of the paragraph, so we're not going to click that one. What about that fifth word? Hieroglyphics. Remember, hieroglyphics were the ancient writings that they had written for their pharaohs on the caves, on the different areas inside of the pyramids, right? It wasn't mentioned, so we're not going to click it. And then slave. I don't think I saw that one either. So we're going to check. Let's check our answers. All right, well done. We got it. Good job, boys and girls. Thanks for helping. All right. What we're going to do now is, since we just learned about those words, right, we're going to just look at some of the words inside of this presentation that have the ED ending. Okay? If you look ahead a little bit, you'll see that the ed ending is inside of this next dialogue. But before we get into that, let's look for some words that have the ed ending inside of the song, right? So we have the word looked. Okay, that first word, looked, inside of the second paragraph. We have any other words that end in ed? Stopped, asked, slammed. All right, I think that's it. Yeah, we have lots of words that end in ed, okay? So we're going to skip this folk music part, and we're just going to go to the next part, which is the dialogue. Okay, we're going to be listening to a dialogue and focusing on the ed ending. All right, so go ahead and listen. See if I can get this to work. Make this a little bit smaller. There we go. All right.
Student's Book, page 36. 2. Listen and say the dialogue.
How was your vacation, Eldred?
Well, everywhere I went, people shouted and screamed. They chased me all the way home.
Were you scared?
Scared? Enid, I was petrified.
All right. So you'll notice that there's lots of words in there.
How was your vacation, Eldred?
One more time.
Well, everywhere I went, people shouted and screamed. They chased me all the way home.
Were you scared?
Scared? Enid, I was petrified.
All right, good. So you'll notice that there are 3 different colors of ed, the ed pattern that you see inside of this dialogue. Now, I have a question for you. Why do you think there are 3 different colors? Some students in 6A and 6B had mentioned that they're all past tense verbs. That's correct. They also mentioned that each one ended in ed. That's correct as well. But why? Why are they mentioned with 3 different colors? Like you see the blue, you see green, and you see red, right? I wonder why they're mentioned. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to go to this this resource that I have that I've been sharing with you on Google Classroom, okay? And we're going to mention the reason why they're in 3 different colors, okay? You see the ed in red, the ed in blue, and the ed in green. And that's because each one of these is pronounced in a different way depending on what consonants are before it. So for example, shouted, shouted, that has an ed sound. Screamed, scared, petrified, that has a d sound, right? D, screamed, scared, petrified. And then the last one with the green, right? That's chased, chased. Okay, all those are pronounced in a different way. Now the reason why they put them in those 3 colors is because of the pronunciation. Now why would we pronounce those words differently? Well, let's take a look at this chart. Okay, these are the 3 different pronunciations of the ed words, the past tense in English, right? That's the normal, regular past tense in English. We take the word want, and then we change it to the past tense, so it would change to wanted, right? But each one of those is pronounced differently because of the consonant that it follows, right? So we have wanted, needed. They both follow the same pattern, right? We have helped, looked, sniffed, laughed, washed, watched, kissed, danced, fixed. They all have that t. That's a voiceless syllable, right? Helped. Okay, and then we have one that's more voiced. Okay, we have called. You have to use your voice to say that last ending sound, right? Called, cleaned, offered, damaged, loved, used, amazed, rubbed, claimed. I want to encourage you to go back about 30 seconds and repeat those words along with Mr. Joseph just so that you can practice them. Okay, we're going to actually look at them a little bit closer, right? I'd like to actually just kind of underline some of these letters just so you can understand the reason why they are they're like that. Okay, so let's look at some of these. All right, we have the words. Let me just see if I can pick a really good bright red color. There we go. We have the word wanted. The word wanted has a T at the end, right? You see that T right there. So we would pronounce it wanted, wanted, id, needed, needed. We don't pronounce it need it or needed, needed. No, it's needed, right? That next column, right, we have the T sound at the end. You'll notice Mr. Joseph really pronounced the T. You need to really, in Spanish, that's called aspirar, right? You have to really breathe through that letter, right? Helped, helped, okay? Looked, sniffed, right? That ED almost doesn't exist. It's almost like we're saying it like this. Helped, helped. Okay, it's almost like the ED doesn't exist. Laughed, washed, watched, kissed, danced, fixed. Okay, those are all ending in the T sound, right? And then that last column, we have the D sound. I'll change the color one more time. We have called. We don't say called, and we don't say calt. No, we say called, called, cleaned, offered, damaged, right? We just have that D sound, right? No other vowel is necessary when we say these because of the consonant that it is following, right? So the L sound has called, cleaned. The N makes the D sound. That R at the end of the verb makes the D sound, makes that ED say the D sound. Offered, damaged, loved, used, right? This has a Z sound. That's S or the Z. They're both kind of like the same, okay? Used, amazed, rubbed. Now you'll notice that, for example, kiss has more of a S sound, but use has more of a Z sound, just like the Z, right? That's because that's the difference between the two, right? The pronunciation. It's not necessarily the letter that makes the sound. It's the sound that makes the sound. So this S makes a Z sound, right? Claimed, rubbed. All right, good. So I would like you to practice those words. They're very important. I'm just going to pause the video just for a second to have you practice them on your own. Okay, hopefully you practice those words on your own. It's important that we really try to practice these words because they're very prevalent in the English language. Okay? If you'd like to do any other exercises with these, you can practice another list of words that I have here on the screen. For example, how would you pronounce these words right here in the first column? Well, with a T, right? Worked. Oops. Dropped. Oops, I got rid of the, don't know where it went. Let's try that again. I'm not sure. Oops, I got rid of my screen. I'm not sure what happened. Let me try that again. Let's go back. Okay, here we go. Worked, dropped, finished, divorced, stopped, laughed, coughed, watched. Right? They all have that T sound at the end. Okay. I'd like you to try the second column. Go ahead and try that second column. This one's going to have a D sound. So for example, moved, moved, returned, stayed, studied, married, widowed, raised, engaged, traveled. All right, and then the last column has an ed, right? So that T right before or after started makes the ed at the end sound like an ed, right? Ed, started, graduated, visited, separated, dated, attended. All right, so you really need to memorize those patterns, okay? These patterns of these vowels, these consonants sounds right before the ed is going to tell you how to pronounce the word, okay? If you'd like a little bit more practice, you can practice this, saying the word in the present tense and then the past tense. For example, the snow melts today, but it melted yesterday. I clap today, he clapped yesterday. Let's do one more. He walks today, yesterday he walked. All right, good. Go ahead and practice the rest of those on your own if you like, just to get a little bit more practice, okay? Today, boys and girls, we also, in addition to trying to practice the ED pattern, okay, we also looked at vocabulary and we played a little bit of a game, okay, with the CD-ROM that was inside of our book. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just open up that game. We'll put 6th grade, and let's play that game. We're going to go to Chapter 3,
Ancient Egypt.
And we're going to play the Aqua Quest game. There's lots of different games that you can play. Here's a word
race.
There's a song that you can play. There's lots of different things. But we're going to actually just play the Aqua Quest.
Choose a word and complete the sentences.
All right. It's important that you read the sentence first. So, for example, Farrells Blank buried in these pyramids. Farrells Blank. Pharaohs are buried in these pyramids. Pharaohs were buried in these pyramids. Pharaohs is buried in these pyramids. Let's see if we can find out what our options are. Pharaohs were, pharaohs wasn't, pharaohs was. Well, pharaohs is plural, so were is the word that we're going to use.
Pharaohs were buried in these pyramids.
Next example. There was only a blank water in the bottle. We're going to look for words like poco or poquito in English. How do you say that in English? Little, a lot, a bit. So any one of those words could fit inside of the blank. Which one makes the most sense? There was only a blank water in the bottle. Let's see. There was only, let's get rid of the shark. There was only a lot of water. There was only a little water in the, there was, there we go. A few wouldn't make sense.
There was only a little water in the bottle.
Okay. Third sentence. I was blank a prize in the competition. I was blank a prize. Prize is premio. So were you blank a prize? Like given, right? I was gotten. I was, what word could go inside of that blank? Let's look at our options. Oh, let's get rid of that rock. Oh, almost hit it. I was gived. I was given. I was gave. Give doesn't make sense. Given makes the most sense, right? Past tense.
I was given a prize in the competition.
All right. Next sentence says, there were blank my friends at the soccer game. There were, again, we're looking for one of those quantifiers, some type of word that's going to tell us how many kids or how many friends there were at the soccer game. There were a little my friends. No, that doesn't make sense. There were many my friends. No. There were few my friends. No. There were lots of my friends. Lots of my friends. I think lots of makes more sense, right?
There were lots of my friends at the soccer game.
Okay. Let's get rid of this whirlpool. Go right in between the rock and dodge the shark that's in our waters. The sentence says, these pants blank washed yesterday. These pants, we're looking for a past tense verb. was, were, weren't. What would make the most sense inside of that blank? These pants blank washed yesterday. These pants weren't washed yesterday. These pants was or wasn't. Well, it's past tense and it's plural.
These pants weren't washed yesterday.
Weren't would be the only one that would fit inside of that blank. Next sentence, it says, there were only blank books on the shelf. There were only few books? No, that doesn't make any sense. There were only little books? No, that doesn't make any sense. There were only a few? And I wonder what our options are going to be. There were only blank books. There were only a little books. There were only a few. Oh, I think a few makes the most sense. Good.
There were only a few books on the shelf.
All right, we are 6 and 0. This is good. I don't want to get hit by or hit a rock or a shark and get rid of my luck. The sentence says there was a blank of juice in the fridge. There was a lot of juice. There was lots of juice or a little of juice. Well, a little of juice doesn't make any sense. A lot of juice makes more sense.
There was a lot of juice in the fridge.
All right, number 7. This tomb blank made by the Egyptians. Again, we're looking for a past tense verb. What could be our past tense verb? Is, was, were, weren't. This tomb blank made by the Egyptians. Well, it's past tense. It's also singular because it's just talking about one tomb. So what word do we use in the past tense in the singular tense in English? This tomb was made, weren't made, were made. Singular past tense was.
This tomb was made by the Egyptians.
All right.
Good job! You have unlocked a puzzle piece.
I want to encourage you to continue to unlock more puzzle pieces in this game. Okay, it's really important that we try to practice what we're learning in conversation, especially with the grammar of what we're learning. Okay, boys and girls, that is the end of class for today. So again, we looked at vocabulary today. We also looked at the past tense ed, and we looked at some grammar just to understand that a little bit better. So nice job. We'll talk to you guys later.